or will we see him defend his title deservedly? He's being able to do so quite well throughout the entire tournament, but will he fumble at the final hurdle?
Yeah, will he fumble at the final hurdle? That's for sure. That is the question of the hour. So there you go. Let's go into round number 1 of this grand final. Point repartition is as follows: 10, 6, 4, and 3 points. And then we have, of course, a point limit of 140 points this time around. So a very, very slow pace final. I think it will take like 45 to 50 minutes, something like that, even because you also play for P number 3. It could take a bit longer for players to reach that point limit, but look at that round here already, Kriidy. It is very close between all of them. We have noiszia in the lead, and maybe those matches served him very well because he was able to get in some practice and maybe was able to cope those high pressure situations a bit better. But oh, that was a great line from Charles coming back. And with that, he's up to P2. But look where noiszia is coming from with this distinct outside line there, just gaining so much speed. This will be all in the ending. The last couple of turns will decide it. And right now, noiszia is actually leading the first round here. Charles and man0x have to push it. Oh, and that is not a good line from noiszia here compared to Charles. And Charles will take it. But this was all just one input, one frame too early or too late, and Charles takes home the first 10 points.
Yeah, they are keeping it close until the very end on the longest track of the map pack as well. So props to them for giving us a good show to start off, a great race to begin with, and a lot of hurrahs for everybody involved. For Lele, it is a bit of a hurrah of that wall moment there. So Lele had a bit of struggle going up against this trio as well the last time around, and I think as much as I think he's very much happy that he got into the grand final, I think he knows himself that he has to either push to the very limits of what he can do, or he has to somehow hope that the top 3 seeded players of this tournament are gonna have a bit of a tough time, which is very not likely going to happen. So man0x and Charles putting it, and it is again noiszia. This just line for him just allows him to get a lot more time and to compensate for the being behind. But man0x is the one now to take the lead, and again this is just gonna come down to this final turn. I feel like who's willing to take that reactor line. Ooh, noiszia gets a lot more speed, but man0x, who's willing to push it closer?
Ooh,
it's
a tie. It's a tie. And
what
here,
a great race. Oh my god. This is proving to be exactly what we wanted. noiszia coming for revenge.
yeah, and here is actually the last checkpoint that decides on this game mode. It's not a name diff or anything like that. It is the last checkpoint. Maybe you've also seen the Turkmenia Awards, of course, that took place, I think, like 1 month ago. Oh, already that far away. Wow. Crazy, actually, that I organized together with Lars and Marius, and there was a double tie. So the last 2 checkpoint, no, the last checkpoint was a tie, and then the finish was also a tie, if I recall that correctly. So the checkpoint before that actually was counting, was between Carl Jr. and m0x. So make sure to watch that. It was played in the same game mode in this way, so it takes the same rule set with that. And well, I mean, noiszia gets the the lucky fate out of that one, and it is man0x currently leading the round, looking really good for him. And I think this could also be a banger of a time by the looks of it. As you can see there, he's 0.4 ahead, but I mean, noiszia I think also did not have the best start here by the looks of it, and man0x slowing down a little bit there at first glance. Can noiszia come back a bit? Yeah, it's 800 that he came closer, but it will not be enough to answer the call here any quicker. man0x winning the round, noiszia on second though, getting a lot of points and still leads the race. Charles, will he finish? Yes, he will, but only 3 points for him, and that's what I mean with momentum. Now it's a complete different match than the winner bracket final that we've had.
Yeah, people have warmed up to this match now in different ways, and we can see that lower bracket diff coming into play for noiszia, looking to be a lot more confident in his play as well. So man0x and Charles will have a lot to work as well. Lele He is still trying to get into the mix, but we can see this is becoming a proper 3-horse race. man0x has a bit of a jumping line. Actually doesn't lose that much time in all comparison. If anything, he gets a nice line here and overtakes both Charles and noiszia here as well. So looking rather good, but this is proving to be an absolute slugfest at the moment. Of course, if we ignore the previous round where it was a bit more lopsided for man0x, but here we can see again all three of them pushing themselves to the very limits, getting ever so closer to those edges, just teasing those little clips that can happen. But we can see Charles has to lift off a bit, but gets a lot more speed here. But it is man0x to take the first place. Very good round by everybody involved. We get a 0.4 out of it as well. They're pushing each other to drive even faster than they've ever done before throughout this entire tournament.
Yeah, they are just pushing themselves so much. So far, Lele has not really been arriving too much in this match. 13 points only accumulated for him. But maybe the next map will suit him a bit better. And I mean, that's the map that we are like has 10,000 pronunciations, as well as we have the girl with a lot of faces, you know, from Game of Thrones. We have the map with a lot of names, right? It is Saltare by Cassidos as map number 2, and right now man0x and noiszia looking really strong, but Charles is also not too far behind. Only 7 points, tearing top 1 to 3 apart.
Yeah, but can man0x do what he did last time? Remember, on this track, Saltaire, man0x went on an absolute killing spree, you know, got an absolute perfect ace out of this track with 4 wins in a row in the previous upper bracket match. So we'll see if he can do it again, or if anybody's willing to challenge that sentiment, you know, that, you know, gods can plead, and man0x is maybe one of them as well. But for the time being, I don't think many people will have an easy time dethroning man0x, because it is one of those tracks where you get into the groove of it and it just will carry you to victory. And we can already see that the warm-up already is looking rather good for man0x. So, you know, people do say that a good warm-up means a bad match, but, you know, sometimes it just doesn't matter. You just drive good anyway.
Yeah, that is for sure. But yeah, good warm-up indeed there. And let's go. After the warm-up, we're gonna continue with the actual race. So man0x almost, or a bit more than a fifth through here after that good first map. And let's see what will happen. So far, it's a very close match, but the pendulum can swing into everyone's direction here, as we see the first mistake already being done by Charles. So the Colombian falling behind, and actually cool to see that 2 Brazilians have made it to the grand final and 1 Argentinian player. So I think we could have also had a player from Uruguay in here, but you know, some incident has happened in this last turn there. But well, let's not scratch those scars open already, else he needs some more stitches there. But right now we have we have 2 Brazilians in this grand final. man0x gets a good line. He waits a bit for the steering there for that turn to make it a bit smoother. So that was a great call, and just shows that he has fully understood this map. But also noiszia with a very good outside dirt line, trying to push as much as he can, but he cannot crack man0x, who clocks in a 57.128. Great time. noiszia 0.15 behind, still getting second place though.
Yeah, and man0x keeping that streak alive. 57.1 or bust. That's all he can do on this track. He can just drive a 57.1. That's all he can do. It's impossible to go any slower or faster for him. And it seems to be doing very much a good job for him as well. But we see that now, this time Charles does not make the early. This time we see that everything has not changed whatsoever, and man0x and noiszia are the ones. God, why does this happen every time? Like I've been trying to avoid, you know, complimenting people, and as soon as I do that, Charles is like immediately, you know what? No, I'm out. But man0x is just keeping it cool, calm, collected. I cannot do anything to him, but it seems that Charles is the victim that happened to be in this round. But yes, man0x just has this track on lockdown. It's basically his track. It's not the mapper advantage on his own, but this Emerald, I mean, not Emerald, Saltaire is really proving to be an absolute leap into victory. 57-0 as well. He really wants to go for that sub 57 here.
Yeah, that is a very serious time, and I think man0x thinks that this map is an emerald for him because it's just a gold mine, right? With points filled with that, or an emerald mine for him in that way. Do you mine emeralds? I think you do, right? I think, yeah, I mean, well, what else should you do? They're not grow on trees, right? So let's go into the next round. It's getting late. I mean, maybe you can figure. And today or tomorrow there will be another full day of casting, as it is man0x, and not with the best start. At Schultz is ahead of him, and then noiszia is not too far behind either. So that is another good round that is developing. And wow, you can see that the line from man0x here could pay off with more speed, but the setup here is so important. noiszia comes back into the conversation now all of a sudden, but Charles still leading. Important to get as much speed as possible out of that turn. Charles looking very good to still stay in the lead. noiszia bumping a bit, but gets a good momentum to the left, but not as much as man0x, who didn't bump that much and didn't lose that much speed compared to noiszia, even though he had a better setup with that. But there you go, Charles winning the round. man0x on second and noiszia on third, but another good round here for that good winning time from Charles. Also now applying some pressure to noiszia. Only 3 points between them. 56 points though for man0x. Looking really good that he adds another title to his collection.
Yeah, and so close. Every single round we've gotten faster and faster. It was a 57-1, then it was a 57-06, I believe, and now we're having a 57 flat basically by Charles. We're just getting faster and faster with every round, and they are just not letting go of the throttle, which is good to see. They're fired up, ready to go, and there's more to play. Of course, man0x's streak is over. Not a full-blown ace on Solitaire. But you know, you at least you take 3 out of 4, maybe it seems, because he's gonna go for that third win here, and that's just 3 points for him. And honestly, going basically 3 out of 4 on a track with this point repetition is pretty good. But Charles is the one to maybe say otherwise. He's pushing, and but noiszia keeps it to the outside. Charles has more speed, I believe, and he does indeed. Ooh, what a nice jump in the end as well, going as clean as possible as well.
Yeah, what a good round. And I think if noiszia has had, or like, dude, I cannot form an if clauses at this point. If noiszia would have, no wait, if and would doesn't work. If noiszia had made that line across, he would have been able to overtake his opponents. Was that correct? I hope so. I cannot think anymore. It has been a very long day for me, but there you go. man0x at 62 points, noiszia and also Charles are only 3 points apart, and then Lele couldn't find any entry into this grand finals just yet. Maybe he finds his ticket in this warm-up here on Emerald.
Yeah, I mean, I had, when you were saying that sentence, I had the moment of you, if you know that old meme of the kid who went like, if you
That's how I felt, dude. That's how I felt.
Yeah, it's a quick chuckle as well. But I think it's one of those where it is getting rather late for us. I think when this match ends, it will be 3 a.m. for me as well. We are at that point 2:38. So it's more lenient.
2:39.
Yeah,
your clock is not correct.
Well, yeah, my clock. I don't know why. I assume it's like you said. It's probably related to the motherboard. But yeah, it is set to automatic. It's not manually set or anything. But my time shows 2:38, while everybody else is 2:39. I'm 1 minute delayed, even in a different country.
Dude, that was so fun, guys. You didn't hear that was like in production, right? Kriidy said, "Yo, let's start the stream at like 25," and then we were like Acrinator and me were like, it's 35 because his clock was wrong, and that happened like 2 or 3 times even. That was hilarious.
I keep forgetting about it as well. That's the worst part, you know.
It was so good.
But regardless, I hope people on the server don't get 1 second delay, because that would be rather rough indeed. Because at the moment we are on Emerald, and man0x, well, speaking of the Emerald before, well, maybe the map Emerald itself is not proving to be good, because he has touched every single wall so far that has been possible on the dirt, and the Brazilians not having a good time on a track that is green. You know, usually the color you represent Brazil with, no, green or yellow, but maybe not working. But for noiszia and Charles, on the other hand, they're having a good tussle up in front.
Yeah, I mean, yellow is almost green, right? And this map also sprinkles in a bit of yellow with those reactor boosts. But I like the coloring of the map. It's really, really nice and harmonic. And it is Charles winning the round, so very nice for him. Of course, applying so much pressure onto noiszia as well. And
that is
what
a
happened?
world record, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a world record. Okay.
54.138, that is a world record, and he took it over from man0x. Charles has now 4 world records.
Okay, yeah, sure, Charles. Yeah, do it. I was like, okay, yeah, 0.1 is fast, but it wasn't. I cannot focus anymore. It's incredible. Very nice time.
Yeah, very nice time. A good time to whip it out in a grand final of all things. Honestly, sets a bit of a statement as well, and also to take the world record away from the competition. You know, man0x had the world record. Now Charles has it, and man0x only has Korayon left. So yeah, just out of nowhere as well. You know, we were just babbling about the most random things as well, and then all of a sudden Charles is like, you know what, guys, let's just do a quick world record, get back into the match. You know, we still have things to play. man0x has not won yet, you know.
Not yet, but right now man0x capitalizes from the mistake of Charles. So, you know, good time, and then you just fail the next round. That's the OG classic, unless your name is Panda, of course. And also man0x has to opt for the safe finish, still is ahead of Charles. But now Lele gets some good points here, but also noiszia. So the run from Charles from the last round doesn't really matter, because man0x, noiszia, I mean, now is dead equal with him, and also man0x with 69, which is a nice amount of points. But it's, again, 7 points between first and third, same as if we have switched to map number 2.
Yeah, as well, but yeah, as you rightly said, a classic. You drive a world record, immediately you get 4th placed. You know, it's just there's some laws in Trackmania that cannot be broken, and that's one of them. You know, if somebody should
unless
write
your name
like
is Panda.
Yeah, unless you are Panda indeed, then you just decide to do back-to-back world records or some crazy stuff like that. I still cannot get over that those facts. Panda was just a different animal, no pun intended.
Also psycho.
Yeah, absolute, just a mean machine of good times. But seems that Charles is more than happy to do so as well, and he's the one fighting at the moment. noiszia, a bit of an interesting line as well. Maybe it was a bit in the moment, had to go wide because he was chucked so wide, but he has more speed.
Whoa.
Wow.
That was
Closer
so
than it should
close.
have been, but a great race.
Yeah, very, very good race there. 21 thousandths between them, and noiszia slowly but surely regains control in this very, very fought after match. Now it's only 5 points between first and third, and I think we have a grand final here, ladies and gentlemen. Only Lele has not arrived thus far, but I think he's very happy that he's already here, because I mean, 8,000 it was. I mean, I just have to say that again, between him and Rookie in the end, and he really capitalized from a mistake there in this lower bracket final. So let's go into the next round, as noiszia gets a good line there across again, and he could go into the lead after a very convincing first position overall. And man0x again, I mean, this happens so often for him that he gets the slowdown there. It just seems that he has a very distinct setup, or maybe he steers over that part and you want to release the steering for a little bit, or like the angle is off, something like that. Oh, and I thought for a second that noiszia touched the wall, but that wasn't the case. The player from Argentina looking really good, but look at that. It is more speed for Charles, and he actually overtakes in the last second there, and Charles and noiszia both will not slightly overtake man0x, but noiszia, wait, they will. Oh my god, yeah, quick math. Very nice.
It's so close that it's very hard to really differentiate the players, because they are just neck and neck. We have gone through the gauntlet already, and basically nothing to separate that. But what do I say always? We arrive at the great equalizer. Cerveza is on the table, and one ice slide to rule them all. So we'll see how things will go now, because Charles, actually, the last time we saw, was really having a good time here. on the track. He really showed that he's very much comfortable with that ice slide. Hopefully he can back that up with the rest of the track as well. But it seems that if there's anybody who's comfortable on this ice segment, it is Charles, because he always really just sends it and even uses a bit of the ice SDing as well, you know, tapping the brake at a certain angle just to get that extra bit of speed as well. But it's not always an easy setup, and if you do it wrong, you get absolutely nothing out of it. But but at the moment, we see as well that, noiszia, hopefully that doesn't happen in the actual round. You can do that in warm-up.
Don't release. Just don't release. Just trust your guts. You can release at the end, but not in the ice slide. That is complete mud. Sometimes it works, but usually if you release in an ice slide, your car just goes, woo, I want to lose the gear. See ya. Bye-bye. Have a good time. Yeah, this will happen. So this map, very cool. But of course, ice is not that easy, especially when you think, I want to readjust. This time it will work. But no, it will eventually not work then. All right, first round on this map. And I mean, points are very close to each other. 2 points between first and third. It can almost not get any closer than that. Unless Lele just comes out of nowhere and decides to choose violence on this map and win like 4 rounds in a row. That would be so cool to see. But right now it is noiszia with a mistake. We see 2 mistakes and noiszia cannot control his car. Completely messes up the line. And I think that was also Charles with a slight of a mistake. So now Lele and man0x first and second for the Brazilians. And man0x will just take that round. He's like, thank you guys so much for making those mistakes. I'll happily take those 10 points. But just when I say that, he also goes into the wall, and it could also be Lele with a great line, making it across. Charles having a good line. Lele with a good exit as well, having a lot of speed, but not the best entry there. And it will be Charles ahead, and Lele also denying some valuable points to man0x here. So Charles can be happy that Lele played his best friend in this round, because 6 points of a discrepancy. Look at that gap now. Charles from third to first in just 2 rounds, and clear first even. 7 points ahead of noiszia, who is on second. 1 point ahead of man0x. So we have such a nice grand final here under our belts.
Yeah, it was a proper discombobulation round, if you want to put it into a
I wanted
fancy
to say that
word.
word as well, actually.
Yeah, everybody got absolutely discombobulated, but because everybody made a mistake, and Charles was the one to take full advantage of it in the end, because man0x was leading the majority of it, but then just decided, you know what, a bit boring up in front, and he's struggling again. Clips goes a bit too far on the plastic jump and loses out on all of that speed by clipping that edge, and so it's noiszia and Charles. And if anything is to go by, Charles is in a perfect position, because he's the one that has always the good slides. noiszia touches the front and you're gonna die. Yeah, and you don't have any speed whatsoever. You definitely do not want to have your wheel touch anything. So if you touch your front wheels with that border as well, you're immediately losing out on all of the speed, all of the momentum. And noiszia immediately sees that. And Charles, look at that. What did I say in the beginning with this track?
Wow.
It's given him a lot of points, and he's just now using that to run away.
Yeah, and we're at 55.022. Well, let us actually check. Peppo G, I'm gonna open
Not a
the
world
sheet.
record.
It's a good time, but this is not a world record, of course. It is half a second away from that almost, but Charles has the world record on this map, of course. But we're just proof checking, because, you know, we sometimes can miss that kind of stuff. But look at that, 14 points now for Charles. That's the dream scenario. And I mean, sometimes it's even advantageous that your back wheels hit the wall or something like that, but of course it has been significantly nerfed, also with the new ice update and all of that. I mean, ice has been reworked for the 3rd time, or like for the 2nd time. There have been 2 updates on that, but I mean, I still want the old ice back, Kriidy, I'll be honest. But yeah, there you go, man0x wins the round, even though he almost didn't make the jump. noiszia on 3rd, and now Charles only with 3 points in this round.
I will agree that, yeah, if we have to take, we had the original iteration, the first update, and then this one, I will say that the middle ground was still the best as well. But, you know, for the time being, yeah, so the one before this basically was good. You know,
I like the first one the most, actually.
Okay, well, I didn't mind the wiggle, but it felt like the ice was a lot more it wasn't just, a buy slide out most of the time, but, it is one of those moments where I pretty much, I think if we asked anybody, everybody will have their own opinions
Yeah.
of the matter, and they will say, like, I would actually prefer my way of ice, basically, and for most people, it can be also just remove ice, which I disagree with. It is a surface that requires
It's
a
a
lot of
good
skill.
service.
Yeah, it's a good surface, if built well, done well, and can move and separate the best from the rest. And we can see Charles, well, he's separating himself from the rest because he just has this slide on lockdown. What a great exit, gets a low jump as well with all of that speed, and he just is
Good
making
round.
good advantage of that. 10 points again, and he's only a few rounds away from securing or getting ever so closer to finalist mode. man0x also gets into the triple digits, but 11 points is a good lead.
Yeah, that's for sure. 11 points is definitely a good lead, but also like going up to 111 points is tremendous for him. But yeah, what I do not like about ice right now is like sometimes for me, I kind of I want to find like something that is consistent on ice or on anything. And sometimes I just do not understand when my steering is locked in or I cannot exit an ice slide. Like I think it has to do something with the RPM, but I solely can just not read that, right? So that is weird for me. But like, I mean, I played Dank 69, for example. I finished it as well. It was so much fun to just learn everything about ice, and here it feels like I just do not understand some parts. They feel a bit random or just like not accessible to learn. I don't know, maybe I just didn't create a feeling for it just yet because I didn't play it that much, but sometimes it can be very hard. Anyway, enough talking about ice. It is man0x map, it's the golden hour, and I mean man0x can also reach finalist here if he gets the flawless streak, but noiszia was really good on this map as well, and I think he will do some damage on this one, even though he has made a small mistake in the warm-up. But let's go and see how this one will go. As, I mean, Charles' so far ahead was noiszia leading at some point of this race, and now he is so far behind. Charles had a really good map. man0x is still somewhat in the race, but noiszia needs to get a lot of first positions in the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, but to be honest, if anything is to go by, is the fact that, Lele still is struggling a bit. So it doesn't play a role in this round. But I don't remember man0x really, being absolutely, the best on his own map. Of course, it's always been a bit of a case. Of course, at the moment, he's slightly trying to prove me wrong as he's currently taking a very comfortable lead. But that line will definitely lose him a bit of speed as Charles. And that is his own making. Should have put a bit more blocks there, man0x. You couldn't have clipped there then. One of those moments indeed, but it puts Charles and noiszia in a position where they can get even more points and run away with it. But it would be much better for noiszia to get that point. Charles goes very wide, but actually loses time. I guess he was trying to get for more exit speed, but with this he releases.
Oh my god, that was so close.
He had to release. I think he immediately noticed that if he went with that speed, he would clip that edge. So he did a tap release, but noiszia was almost there to overtake him, but not quite. But those 10 points are invaluable. He's now 18 points in the lead and giving himself a very nice cushion and showing that he's out for revenge. He's tired of losing to man0x and he wants to win.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the best scenario here for Charles, because man0x only got himself 3 points in that previous round, and there you go. Let's go into the next round and see what man0x can answer. Had such a good start into the match, but I think we were already predicting that in the winner bracket final, that this is such a momentum-based match that could happen. It could go either Charles man0x's or noiszia's way if they meet again in the grand final, and they are rightfully doing so, as Charles now touches before the freewheel. noiszia with a great line slides out there. You could have seen that small slide there and loses complete control, so we will not capitalize from the mistake from Charles. It will be man0x in the lead. Lele at 69 points could go up to 79, but no, messes up the line, but still gets second place, even though that was a wonky ending. Still 6 points secured, and now all of a sudden man0x, after a bad round, coming back. And it's only a couple of points between them, 125 versus 113, 12 points. I mean, we have seen it was 2 points between them, and 2 rounds later, all of a sudden, Charles was 14 points ahead, if my memory serves me correct. So everything can happen, and let's see what this last round will bring us if Charles can go up to 135.
Yeah, and noiszia also giving a bit of tips to man0x about mapping, aka saying never add water again, man0x, for the love of God. Is his comment, a bit of map review by noiszia on the fly. A justified review, it's very much so, but for the time being, we'll have to wait and see if he can now do a bit different. I will say noiszia has a very good dirt setup there. He always gets more speed here. Maybe sometimes to the detriment of himself. Maybe that extra speed does lead itself to having a bit more. But man0x enjoys again a classic checkpoint struggle. And noiszia also having a bit of struggle. Maybe Lele can also overtake. Oh, noiszia goes for the safe pin, but Lele overtakes. It's the little details that are making noiszia fall a bit off at the moment. He's getting into that position where it's not, again, the puzzle pieces are not matching together at the moment for noiszia.
Yeah.
Hopefully, when we switch maps after this one last round on Golden Hour, we might see a bit of difference. But noiszia maybe not having a good time here.
Dude, I already think that this is round number 6 or 7 on this map. I don't know. I feel so tired actually, but I still try my best. But of course, I didn't sleep that well that night, so I hope everything is still fine. And I mean, Charles can reach finalist mode. man0x, of course, was at 100 points, now having 116. So this is not that good for him, obviously. And I mean, yeah, you say it, the small details really matter. noiszia could have had 2 more points on his account, but this is indeed not the case. So let's go into the next round. noiszia sliding there again. You could have seen that because he was just oversteering a little bit too much, and since you're above 200 kilometers per hour, you will just lose speed. But who's gonna win this round? It will be man0x, yes, ahead of Lele, who has been getting himself a lot of points, and I think that was his second place in a row, if I recall that correctly. Charles on 3rd, and then we have noiszia now going for the safe finish. But again, not a good amount of points, or not good amount of points secured for him. And Charles with a face slap, 139 points, has to play 1 more round in order to activate finalist modes.
Yeah, and we will be going back through the rotation now. It is back to Korayon, the map that started it all, and the map that might end it all as well, because there is a very high possibility that we might see our winner on this track. Of course, if noiszia gets his groove together, mojo together, we might actually see going on to the next map as well, which is maybe not the best idea, because after this we will be going on to Saltaire, which was man0x's playground most of the time. So if anything, Charles would love to finish it out here, because then it's gonna be that he would have to again push it to the very limit. But he did really well on Saltaire as well. But honestly, if I was Charles, just finish this round, get the dub, and let them sort out the rest of the placement.
Yeah, that is for sure. So let's see how this goes for Charles. We have started on this map, and one warm-up will decide it all. I mean, everyone has kind of collected a good chunk of points here. Also, Lele getting some good points. I mean, he's at 87 points. He could definitely play a role for second. Let's say for 3rd position. I think second is a bit too ambitious, because man0x and Charles have already accumulated too many points. But also a bit unlucky for noiszia that he's such a momentum-based player, to be honest. Because he had so many points. He was even on 1st, and now he's more than 30 points behind Charles, and most likely will not play a role for that 1st place battle.
Yeah, it's been a good chunk of points for Lele. I will definitely admit that as well. I've had a good few rounds taking advantage of a few mistakes then and there, but he has not been really contesting everybody on pace, and we can see that here on Korayon as well. No major mistakes being made, but we can see that the difference in pace between the 3 and Lele. So Lele, but Charles hits the pole, and but Charles has to finish. So hopefully, at least he gets. It seems to be. He does have a lot of time, though. I think it's 15 seconds, so should be fine. But it is man0x taking the lead here, and he's the one that needs the points the most if he wants to get into finalist mode quick and swift as well. So good stuff for him as well. And Lele is gonna be denying more points from Noisia, who would be more than happy to take second instead. But for the time being, it's gonna be third for Noisia, a few clips then and there, and that will be 1, 2, and 3. man0x with the first position, Lele second, Noisia is third, Charles is fourth, goes into finalist mode, but man0x now is only a third position minimum away from finalist mode as well.
Yeah, good situation there for man0x, of course, that he has gotten himself that first place there, and Charles couldn't deny, and also Charles touching the first or second possible corner there. So I think you were noting it or pointing it out. Charles is good at choking in Trackmania, of course, in Trackmania chat, in Trackmania. And it seems like we're gonna have a double final situation, but also Noisia could do some damage if he wins 3 rounds in a row. Of course, he is right now leading, but man0x is not too far behind, as you can see it there, but didn't get the best line across. I thought that he was even closer towards Noisia, but Noisia pushing a lot. Will be a hard turn to get through, but he's able to do so. Had a different setup there and having a good chunk of speed, but man0x still coming a bit closer there. As you can see it there, very good line, but still a better setup from Noisia in this sector. So close between them, 500ths of a second, and we have a fight for that first position. It really depends of how the Apex is being chosen, and that is a bit too early from Noisia, so he will be out of this round, at least for the battle for first, and only getting himself 6 points. man0x in finals, and guys, we have a double final situation between Charles and man0x. Good luck and have fun. Let's see who will win the South American Cup Fall Edition.
Yeah, this is gonna be all down. The 2 air members are face to face with one another. Who will take the title? Will Noisia have his final say in this as well? He's been tempting fate ever so closer. Whoever fumbles first here could be giving the other the chance to overtake. So man0x is the one to take the early lead. Noisia is going a bit tighter, will lose out on a lot of speed by going a bit more conservative, but the lead is not that substantial. So all in all is all good. Noisia is the one to take a step back at the moment, not having the best lines here, and I think, judging from what we're seeing at the moment, this could be now the title difference here. man0x, Charles, neck and neck. Charles has more speed. man0x is trying to go for a wider line. He will have more speed. Charles still equal on the pace. man0x will go for a much inside approach here. Charles trying to compensate by coming back here as well. There's literally gonna come back to the final turn here as well. man0x, Charles, who will be your South American Cup champion. man0x goes for the more speed line. He does not have it. Charles has the lead, and man0x has been dethroned. Congratulations to Charles. GG. He is your grand final winner of the South American Cup and dethrones man0x at the top. What a way to end it in a great round as well, but of course we still have more to go.
What was that risk there from Charles? Just a leap of faith there in this left turn, and also I cannot comprehend that round. He was taking an insane amount of risks. I was like, what, and even production couldn't believe it there. I cannot believe it myself, and now man0x has to at least get himself that second place in the bag. But what a round that was. I think just the cherry on top, right, ending this awesome tournament. And I mean, it's 2 a.m. for me, 3 a.m. for you, and I think that just shows that we are still awake, because this tournament is so nice, and I was on the edge of my seat on that last round, and right now looks to be a much more anticlimactic round, and it will be man0x taking home that second place. This left turn I was talking about, it was so insanely well done, and well, there you go, man0x will take the silver medal. He's getting oh my, how did he even finish? Jesus Christ. What is happening?
What a great way to finish a second position as well. I mean, a bit more closer than you wanted to, but
but he
of course,
finished.
Yeah, at least you got across the line, a bit more, one of those, you wipe off the sweat there for a moment. It's a proper save there. But we still have to play for third position as well. We do play all 3 winners, so Lele has to still compete against Noisia on Saltaire, so we will go through the entire gauntlet of finding out all of the decisions. So now it's a 1v1 between the two, and hopefully noiszia can get back into it. He has kind of lost the vibe of it. I think the golden hour really did do an hour on him, I guess you could put it like that, and now he's kind of gone out of it. And Charles and man0x, of course, deservedly getting first and second respectively. So noiszia should be able to get third position, all things considered. Lele has done a formidable job, but I think he's a bit too far away, and I think the gap is a bit too big to really catch up, unless noiszia really has a complete meltdown.
Yeah, I mean, noiszia has had not the best match. I would say hasn't had the best. He didn't have the best match. Let's not use this form, this grammatical term, form, whatever. And he had a good start. He was leading. I think he had like 71 points, but now he's at 120 out, where 128 points, whereas Charles and man0x have already won the race, and the positions are already locked in. But man, we had some great rounds. But there you go. noiszia still has to finish 2 rounds. It doesn't matter if he's first and or second. He will be finalist anyways. He should just deny Lele in one of those rounds, because then he has to start another new 10 column in that way, because he would be at 119 points and then 129, 139, and then he has to win 1 more round in order to be finalist, opposing to him getting himself 10 points in 4 rounds. He would then of course be a finalist there.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Of course everything makes sense that I say after 2 a.m. That is completely sure. And look at that, noiszia tries to push and finds himself in the lead, but this is already in the ending. Very, very close line there from the player of Argentina, and he is pushing 1000, and we see a mistake from Lele, and with that we have noiszia winning the round. And the next round doesn't really matter too much, to be honest, but of course the momentum can still be built up.
Yeah, noiszia only has to finish the final round, so if he wants to, he can give a few more points over to Lele. But you know, it's one of those cases where we at the final stretch. Words and sentences have no meaning also whatsoever in our brain. They just sort of blurt out in whatever order our brain decides to put them into. So for the time being, at least, we have survived quite well. And with the final stretch now, noiszia, yeah, should have this at least very much sewn down, locked and secured. He only has to just make sure he doesn't make anything unnecessarily complicated for himself. Seems that if anything, Lele is the one that has to really push his merits to make sure that he is in the contention. I mean, the previous round he was relatively close, just had that fumble just before the dirt, but this round he's even further behind. So really has to hope that, you know, noiszia is a nice guy and gives him 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter at all. It doesn't matter. Like, if he gets first or second, he should just finish the rounds, because he will start a new 10 column, whatever, anyway, you know. And if he has 111, 119, 115, it doesn't matter. He has to win the next rounds anyway. It doesn't matter at all. So good luck to noiszia, as he's in finals. Lele has to die him 3 times and then has to win himself. So we have a maximum of 4 more rounds, so we could go to the next map even. And let's see what will happen. As yeah, this is a great start for both of them. I thought for a second that some of them didn't start, but no, that wasn't the case, as Lele goes a bit too conservative there and finds himself in last. But I mean, not by too much, only well, I mean, now it's tight, thank you very much. And it's a great fight, actually. I thought that Lele loses a bit more time in that section, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a 7th seed, technically, all things considered. So you can definitely, we know that he has the pace, but it's more of the case that, you know, noiszia is more willing to risk it for the biscuit, and he is in finalist mode. So this will come down to the fact of the dirt turn. Lele won't go for the risky line of the outside third. So if noiszia hits it, which he does, he will have more exit speed. But is that actually enough?
Oh my God,
this
it's
is
so
just
close.
absolutely on the very
Wow.
moment of the finish. What a great way to end the 3rd place match as well. Lele really sent it, tried his best, and it was fine way to put the cherry on top on a great grand final.
Dude, this was such a great match. I mean, I would have loved to cast this one at like 2 p.m. and not at 2 a.m. But I mean, sometimes you cannot choose it. It was awesome. Like, this competition was really good. Thank you so much, guys. Or like, firstly, thank you so much, Nats, for asking us to cast this great competition. I had a lot of fun, even though I'm a bit sleep deprived, but I think it still made sense what I said, even though I lost the focus a little bit in the grand final. But Kriidy, it has been so much fun. Also, thank you very, very much, Acrinator, for doing the production. You have done a great job. And thank you so much for that, of course. And also thank you guys for watching. And of course, congratulations to Charles dethroning man0x and winning €120 and can call himself the South American Cup champion.